What kind of drew you into arbitrage? Was it just seeing other people have success with it, or just kind of the easeability of it being that these products are already selling, you just have to go out and find?
You just had to find them, and then, like we said, wholesale is bulk, and then just like put your money where your mouth is. I've seen some crazy posts where they have an Amex and they'll drop $250,000 on it, and they're just like, yes, whatever. And I'm like, I mean, the longer you go, the more opportunities and like relationships you have. But yeah, some guys are really spending it. I'm just like,
what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the video. Today we have a very special guest, a longtime friend, and someone who's just been crushing it in the Amazon space lately. So I wanted to have him hop on here and hopefully share some of his knowledge with us. But Mike, go ahead, introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, and just kind of a little backstory leading up to kind of your start in the Amazon space.
my name is Mike. I grew up with Garrett in Arizona. And now I live in Tennessee, and I moved out here for work. And then I started selling on Amazon because I was making car parts, working like 12-hour days. And then I'm pretty sure I looked at something on Garrett's social media, and he was having a 5-figure day, just enjoying himself. And I was like, this is shit. And then I don't know. I'm pretty sure that same work day, he got like the notification that I bought his class, and I was like, all right, yep.
I know that was gonna like literally like lead me into the next question, but go ahead, keep going, bro.
Yeah, and then I just went through his course and then bought the supplies, started, and just figured it out as it went.
There you go. So that was going to kind of lead me into my first question for you. Like, I know in the past, me and Mike go way back. We kind of started off like when we were super young, just got out of high school. We had joined some like MLM stuff, like Forex trading. We were trying all types of stuff to make money. And then we kind of all went our separate ways about a year later. But I was going to ask, was there something you saw on the internet? Was it just seeing my content? How did you really get introduced to Amazon? And what made you think like, hey, after all the stuff I know we've tried, like entrepreneurial type of stuff, what was like, hey, that Amazon thing, I want to give that thing a shot and see if it actually worked?
Honestly, it was just because I grew up with you. Because I mean, you'd been selling for forever when I joined, but when I started, but
okay, gotcha. So
what's it called? Like, there's a bunch of rules you have to follow. And since I grew up with you, I knew I could trust you. So it didn't matter. Like, I could buy the course, and then I was pretty sure you weren't going to have me end up deactivated.
Yeah. That's a problem right now, especially with all the Section 3 stuff going on. So you joined my course, my program. I know you hopped inside of the Discord group as well, the profit list. Take me through like your first 3 months of actually selling on Amazon, because I feel like that's kind of the time period where a lot of people get introduced to Amazon. They're super excited about it. They open up a seller's account. They kind of test the wheels for a little bit, 60, 90 days. And that's when a lot of people really give up. So let me kind of walk me through, like, what were your first 90 days like as an Amazon seller?
They're pretty funny, actually. What's it called? I opened the account. I was figuring everything out. I bought some chalk from, I don't know, somewhere. And then I did the math, and I thought I was going to make $400. And then I sent it in, and the chalk was like showing up to people broken. And then I was like, and it wasn't selling like I thought it would. So I recalled that. And then, I don't know, I started out scared. But when you do that, like, it's boring. And then I found some like detergent powder, and that stuff was selling like crazy. Like, I sold it in a 4-pack, and I bought it for like 30, 35, and I sold it for like 110 once, and it was selling for like 90 other times. It like made no sense, but right. Yeah. And then I was selling some water bottles one time, and I made like $700 in a day when I first started. And then that was like the real moment where I was like,
it kind of works, right?
Yeah. I just had like little nice things happen to me. And then one time there was something from Sephora, like some body spray or something. And then literally the UPS guy dropped it off, and then I counted it, uploaded the inventory, and then it sold out instantly because it was discontinued. I wish I could have got more. Yeah, it literally like within the hour.
Right. So it kind of sounds like, your first few months, you kind of had a couple hiccups selling chalk that's getting broken in the mail. So I'm sure that was a learning experience. There's so many just different types of products where you kind of initially look at the opportunity, but you don't really look at the risks, because you just don't. Who would have thought like, hey, all this chalk's going to break before it gets to the customer? Then you got to get returns, stuff like that. But it sounds like you kind of relatively started having some success quick on. Is that correct?
Oh yeah. And then you just have to make sure you know the rules. Like when you get a sale, you need to ship it like the day of or the next day. I've seen things where people have like waited a week, and then your metrics get hit, ship it in a plain box.
Right.
Like I've seen people, they said in like the seller forums, oh, I shipped something in a Walmart box and they considered it drop shipping. So I
Right.
always use like plain boxes, plain tape. I go to the post office like twice a day sometimes, but
So with that being said, it sounds like you're doing, I know you do a lot of merchant fulfilled, right? How much of your business right now is like merchant fulfilling stuff versus FBA, right?
it's like 50-50. I just sent a bunch of stuff into Amazon. I got scared because I just sent in like $7,500 worth of stuff. And that was like my first time sending in that much stuff. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to throw it if this gets lost. Like it's going to get lost, damaged somewhere. I was like sick to my stomach, but it showed up and some of it sold and it's going. So, but yeah.
So based off your experience so far, I know especially early on, like I'd always see you posting doing merchant fulfilled stuff. What have you seen so far from your experience, the advantages of and disadvantages of both of them, since you kind of have a decent amount of experience with MF and FBA, especially since we're going into kind of the MF heavy few weeks here with Q4 coming up. Is there any type of tips, pros, cons that you could give to the viewers just about both kind of fulfillment methods?
FBA is nice because Amazon does all the work, but with FBM, it's nice to be on a listing twice. But if your customers complain, then your ODR starts getting hit, and Amazon kind of like then forces you to slow down and send your stuff in.
Right.
Oh no, I was a huge fan, and I really pushed strong on FBA. Like I did like 400 packages. I mean FBM. I did like 400 packages FBM 1 month, and then oh yeah, you start getting a couple complaints, and it's like one complaint just like blows your metrics off. It just wasn't making sense, and then they were sending me emails, and I was like, holy crap.
Right. So it kind of sounds like as you kind of started picking up volume and doing a little bit more volume and growing on Amazon, you kind of started shifting more towards FBA to take that off your plate. And also, like you said, the order defect rates and stuff happen to be super on top of it with shipping it yourself. That kind of gets a lot of people in trouble just because, I mean, life happens. You forget something, you forget to ship it within an hour and it just hits your account and then you get a bad customer feedback. Those are harder to get removed from your account. So that totally makes sense. As far as your business model, right? I do a ton of arbitrage, retail and online arbitrage, mostly at this point. I do a little bit of wholesale here and there as well. What's your primary business model? Have you tried all of them? Kind of what's your kind of bread and butter at this point?
I've tried all of them, but what was you saying before? I like FBA because Amazon literally strikes through it, and like I swear it would be a negative review on FBM, but FBA they just strike through it, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'll pay the extra fees. But yeah, I've done them all. I just placed that order for $7,500. That was nice, and it only showed up in 4 boxes, so that was nice just to repackage and look at and send off. So a bulk order was nice, and then I like retail because I found that soap at Walmart. I had to go to multiple stores, but I got like $700 worth of it, and then just sent that off and dealt with it.
Right.
Yeah. So online, nice, but yeah.
You're doing kind of a bit of both. Have you dabbled in wholesale at all yet? Because I think I saw the other day you posted something about trying to go for brand directs, or are you just kind of getting started in that? Or
I'm just getting started in that. I message brands, but yeah, I'm still working on that. Once you got to make the contact, and then they're immediately like, all right, put your money where your mouth is. Like, start dropping some money.
Yeah, it's like if you're not planning on actually spending money doing wholesale, it's like money talks, especially in that side of the business. They're in the business of selling in bulk, right? So
yeah,
there's not really of, hey, let me get 5 units of this, 5 of that, maybe 10. It's like, no, how many case packs?
Where's the pallet? Yeah.
Right. You need a pallet. Where are we dropping it? LTL, whatever. So sounds like right now you're doing primarily RA and OA. What would you say the percentage split is between retail arbitrage and online arbitrage for you right now?
Online's like 80.
80? Okay. So you're
yeah.
more OA heavy then?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. As far as, I'm a big shoe clothing seller. I know a lot of people kind of find their niche of different categories of products, especially arbitrage sellers. It seems that people really like to find a category that works for them and kind of go deep and dig into that category and master it. Is there a certain type of product category that you prefer, that you're kind of trying to master at this point? Or are you just kind of the type of guy that's saying, hey, anything that's profitable, I'm going to sell it regardless?
I like selling food products because you can't return it. It's not my
I don't know about that, dude. With shoes or clothing, oh my gosh, the returns are ridiculous. But keep going, bro.
Yeah, what's it called? I've sold a lot of lifesavers. It's weird. Like you would think I've had like a bunch of $1,000 days where it's been like $900 worth of lifesavers and it's not making sense, but I just fulfill the orders. It's weird. Like just things you wouldn't think. And then the soap, like $500 days worth of soap. And it's like
a lot of those products that you're mentioning, are you finding those on sale? Are you paying full price for them, full retail, and just marking them up and people are still buying them on Amazon? What are you doing in that aspect?
Yeah, just retail and the listings already exist. I'm jealous of some people. I've seen some companies where they just mark the price up and they're doing like 30 grand in profit just on lifesavers. And I'm just like, that's it. Like,
yeah, just that's their whole catalog of products is like a few lifesavers listings. That's crazy. So you're paying, just so people fully understand, because I don't feel like they realize that Amazon customers, like some of the stuff they do just makes absolutely no sense. Like they could literally drive to the store and pick up these items probably for full retail regular price, but they're paying double, triple that to order it on Amazon. So just to make that clear for everyone, you're going to the store paying full price. You're not even getting a lot of these items on sale, and people are still buying them at a price point on Amazon to where you're able to profit from it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And then I'm either sending it out or sending it to Amazon, but it's just a label and then you send it off. And yeah,
that's crazy.
You know how important labels are, because with your volume, like if you would have sent in everything to Amazon, you would have paid a ridiculous thousands in fees. So you know how important labeling is and how setting everything correct is. But yeah,
if you want to have them prep it and label it for you, that's going to cost you. If you don't want to pay for placement fees, or if you want to send it all to primarily one warehouse, it's a placement fee, then there's shipping fees. So just kind of knowing how to navigate that. But so that's kind of funny. But what I was going to ask you is, what made you choose, because there's a lot of different business models on Amazon. What made you choose more of the arbitrage model and selling name brand products versus, you could go super deep into wholesale, or you could do private label, start your own brand? What kind of drew you into arbitrage? Was it just seeing other people have success with it, or just kind of the easeability of it being that these products are already selling, you just have to go out and find
it? It seemed easy. You just had to find them. And then, like we said, wholesale is bulk. And then I wasn't like comfortable starting like that. Like put your money where your mouth is, because I know like a lot of big sellers, like I've seen some crazy posts where they have an Amex and they'll drop $250,000 on it and they're just like, yes, whatever. And I'm like, and then I know you said one time you have like suppliers that'll like give you huge discounts and they'll help you, like you can do this, that, and the other. And it's like, yeah, the longer you go, the more opportunities and like relationships you have. But yeah, some guys are really spending it. I'm just like,
yeah. So that kind of just comes down to, I feel like there's an evolution, kind of a progression of every Amazon seller, especially when it comes to spending capital, because this is a business where you do have to come up with the money to buy the products to sell it, unless you get like some free used books or something like that. So I feel like there's kind of that progression of where you kind of get used to, okay, I'm comfortable spending a few $100 at every store, to then, okay, I'm spending 10 grand a month, and then kind of that next push up to 20, then you're spending 50 all of a sudden. Then I know people that drop $1 million a month on inventory and do not lose 1 ounce of sleep on it. Whereas someone new who may only have $1,500 to their name, spending $700 on product is super nerve wracking, because, hey, what if I lose all this money? So how did you get over that initial fear of like, hey, I'm going to just take this risk and go all in on it?
Well, if you don't, you're just going to end up doing the same thing. So, you had to. And then I've seen a bunch of different people like do a bunch of different things. Like I've seen one guy have a warehouse and he runs a U-Haul business like out of the other side. So the warehouse gets like dual purpose out of it. And then I've seen a guy that like they sell millions a year, like millions a month actually, but they have employees in a warehouse and they make them go to a swap meet and like sell all their returns, and other people have like courses and stuff. So like you just have to figure out like extra things to do to like pad your expenses, like cover returns, cover this, cover that. You just have to figure out something extra to do.
How long have you been selling for? I know you're full time now, aren't you?
Now it's like a year.
Okay, so how long did it take you to go from? Because I know you originally lived out here in Arizona, right around my area. Moved out to Tennessee for work. How long was it were you on Amazon for actually selling stuff before you were able to make that jump into becoming fully self-employed and full-time Amazon seller?
Probably like 3-4 months. I was working out here and we were working 12-hour days, 60-hour weeks. And then I was new to where I was working and we got a bonus and I made like 10 grand in a month. And I sold some stuff around my apartment and came up with a couple extra grand. And I was like, all right, I should just start selling on Amazon. Like there's money now. Like you have a, like, yeah, let's just do it now. So it just worked out perfectly for me like that. And then I was just like, all right, you better figure this out or end up in trouble, I guess.
Yeah, you kind of just were, I'm jumping on the boat, and if we start sinking, I'm gonna figure out how to keep it afloat. That's awesome, man. So
Now or never, yeah.
yeah, so 3 to 4 months after starting and then going full time is crazy. And it's not like Mike you don't live at home with your parents or something. Like you're out on your own paying big boy bills, like you're making it happen. That's awesome. So what was like, I know you've had I've seen some of the stuff you've shared with me that you've sold, and I'm just like, how the heck did this dude find this product? Like, it just makes no sense. How are you able to consistently find these home run products that are able to provide you with that type of an income to go full time? Because like sourcing strategy wise, what's your strategy? Are you doing manual sourcing? Are you using any types of softwares? Kind of what's your strategy going, just finding new items to sell?
I'm in the Discord group and then just sit around and like I storefront stock people. Like you just look and just put 2 and 2 together. I mean, it's pretty, once you get used to it, like after months, you can just scroll through the pages and say, all right, this makes sense. This doesn't make sense. Like, I don't feel comfortable selling this brand. All right, I can probably figure this out. Like you eventually pick everything up, but yeah.
Right. So do you kind of feel that as you get more experienced on Amazon, even if you're like doing manual sourcing on a website, or if you're just storefront stocking someone's listings, like you can kind of spot stuff that's looks unusual, like, hey, that item looks like it's overpriced on Amazon. Let me see if I can find it somewhere for cheaper. Or if you're on like a website, you can kind of just eye stuff out versus just having to go one by one and trying to just, it takes forever. You can kind of just, once you get good at sourcing, you can kind of spot stuff. Does that seem kind of like you're catching on to that type of stuff as well?
Yeah. And then you learn what to avoid. Like when I first started, I bought stuff off of Walgreens because they had a sale. But then you think of how many other sellers just go on Walgreens.com and it's plastered on the homepage. So and then you send in the product and there's 40 sellers selling humidifier filters.
Right.
Now they're just selling them for just trying to break even and get off the listing and just move forward. So yeah, you just learn. And then when you storefront stock someone and you look at their page, if they have like tens of thousands of reviews and stars and you can tell they have like thousands of products in their catalog, you know they have capital, so you probably like can't compete with them. I mean, still do the math and look at it, but you have to understand like the seller, you're looking at the size and probably like what advantages they have.
Right. So as far as, I like how you mentioned how a lot of people will just go on a website and they'll see this huge sale sign saying, check out these items that are 50% off. And at that specific moment, they're making profit on Amazon, but everyone's going to see that sign when they first hop on that website. They're going to buy the product. And by the time you get it into Amazon or in your hands to sell, there's 50, 100 other sellers on that listing and the price is just tanking. So you're lucky to barely make a profit or break even at best. So how do you avoid price tanking? Is there some type of filtration system that you use to weed out those products that really get tanked bad? Are you using any other strategies like coupons, discount gift cards to kind of build additional margin to protect yourself? What are you doing in that aspect of sourcing?
I kind of just like to find a bunch of products if I can, like go with width, and then you want depth also. But like, I don't know, when I sell, I just think about like the worst things that can happen and like how to protect yourself. So like I could be on one listing and then you could start selling on it, but you'll have a pallet, so that one kills it for me. And then I don't know, I just think of the bad things that can happen and try to like avoid them and then just like steer myself in the correct.
Right. I know you use Keepo like most every seller should be. How much are you analyzing Keepo before purchasing a product in terms of analyzing the risk of the product? What are you looking for in a Keepo chart? Are you looking at like price history, sales rank history, both? What are you looking at on a Keepo chart to make before you make a purchase?
Oh yeah, I'm looking at both of them. And then Seller Amp. And I just got this, I just started using this thing called AZ Insight, which does kind of the same thing as Seller Amp. But I just started using a bunch of new softwares, like 4 or 5 new things that I plan to use for like the rest of the year, like testing just both out and then make a decision on what I want to use going forward. But yeah, definitely Seller Amp, Keepa. That's what I started with for months.
Okay. Yeah.
And now I'm trying these new things just to see what it's like.
Right. Yeah. So it sounds like you're kind of going wide on stuff. And if something starts working, then you kind of start going deeper on those type of items.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like that's the best strategy, especially because Amazon, I feel like it's almost kind of like stock market. Like sometimes products are up, sometimes they're down, sometimes they're consistent, sometimes they're not. And I feel like people get the misconception, even with business models like wholesale, that it's just like once you get a profitable catalog or item, you're just going to be able to keep reordering it over and over again. When that's not really the case. There's just as much competition. When you're selling name brand stuff and other sellers are allowed to sell it, there's going to be competition and price pressure when more competition comes in. So there's an ebbs and flows. But do you find that, especially with arbitrage, that, hey, you might sell an item right now, it went well, you sold through all of the units, but let's say it's not profit, you can't buy it at the price you got it before. Do you keep tabs on items you've sold in the past? So if, let's say, a website or a store is having a quarterly sale or whatever it is, are you going back through your profitable items that you sold in the past to see if you can resource them again, kind of almost as like a quarterly replenishable, or just when that item goes on sale? Do you do anything like that?
Yeah, I keep them on a. Well, I mean, there's a lot of sellers use Google Sheets, spreadsheets, Microsoft Word. I mean, whatever you use just to make notes everywhere and then refer back to it. I have a list of ASINs, and I don't know, every 3 months or something, I'll probably go through it. It's annoying and time consuming, but your account updates, you can do this, you can figure this out. So that's time consuming, but I think it's worth it. I don't know.
Gotcha. So as far as like you're discussing earlier that you were protecting your account, making sure you had the right information to do that. With all the Section 3 stuff that's been going on in the Amazon space, people are getting booted off left and right. You being a new seller, it's primarily new sellers that they're really hitting hard with Section 3s. What have you done to keep your account healthy in times like this? Are you just making sure you have proper documentation? Are there certain types of websites you're avoiding? What are you doing to kind of proactively keep your account healthy?
Yeah, I just do what's safe to me. I mean, I sold Nike at one point, and then, like the end of last year, they started getting on everybody. And as a new account, obviously the account health wasn't that high, like compared to what yours would be. So it's like, can you afford to take the risk? It's just all about risk. Like, can you afford to take the risk? And then, so I stopped doing that. And then, yeah, I mean, just proper documentation.
Have you gotten hit with any type of Section 3 emails, video interviews, anything yet? Or you just kind of been cruising so far?
No, I've gotten super lucky. Fingers crossed. I knew you were going to say something. I don't even want to have this conversation. Yeah, fingers crossed. I've gotten
lucky for you. I've beaten Section 3. I've beaten Section 6. So I could definitely help you out with that if it comes. They're not hard to beat if you have the right documentation. It's more or less there's a lot of people that were buying from shady wholesalers, or even if you're buying from discount stores that don't have matching UPCs or item SKUs on the receipts. They just have that store specific item code. That's not really going to prove the paper trail of what items actually on that receipt, because there's nothing to prove unless you have photographs of like the product tag and stuff like that. But fingers crossed for you. You'll be good. You source legitimate stuff and stuff like that, so there's nothing to worry about in that sense.
My ODR got high once, and they sent me some emails about it, but other than that, I've literally had no account problems, thankfully.
Have you had any? I'm sure you've had at least maybe an inauthentic or something that you've had to submit documents for, or anything like that, or have you just gotten that lucky?
No, I've literally gotten that lucky. I sold some Nike stuff once, and there was like voice of the customer or something where some people were saying some things I weren't happy. I was like, this sounds kind of like is leaning towards you're like going to complain or something. Yeah, I just because I see so many people like, oh, Nike deactivate Nike, like, so I was just like, all right, this is like, I don't know, it's too close for me. I'm just going to stop selling this stuff, and there are other things to do.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's category based too, because I know you're mostly grocery category heavy, whereas I'm footwear and apparel. The amount of risk of getting inauthentics in footwear and apparel is so much higher than like grocery. So I feel like that has something to do with it as well. I know when I first kind of started off, I never got inauthentics until I started. So I don't think I've ever gotten one on an item other than footwear and apparel. So if you want to avoid those, don't sell footwear and apparel. But so I wanted to ask you, what's like one product flip that you've had that has stood out? Like, what's your best flip so far on Amazon? And if you're still selling the item, don't say the exact item, but if you've already sold through it and there's one kind of like crazy flip, how much of it did you sell and how much did you make off of it?
Laundry soap. I sold it in a 4-pack once. It cost like $30 from Walmart, and then it sold for 110 once, and then it was selling for like 85, 90-ish some other times. There was that one, and then besides that, I think I just have like some stuff selling incredibly fast, but money-wise, that made no sense. Was like making that much money off a dish, like powder soap for your dish washing machine.
Right. How much of that do you think you sold? Was it like a pretty substantial amount, or was it just a few units you found at Walmart?
It's been a lot. It's hard to get sometimes. Like from here, I can order from 2 Walmarts. So like if I'll usually start the day like ordering, get 2 deliveries here, and then start going out like farther out of my delivery zone. The most I ever got was like $700 worth of it, and that's like was just making some trips around the city. And then, yeah, sold through that, but it sells through. I mean,
okay.
Heavy when you start putting them in multi-packs, but I've never had the math not work out somewhat decently. Even if you get a weird shipping outcome sometimes, it still works.
So speaking of multi-pack, with that specific product, was it the same exact item? You were just selling it as a 1-pack, a 3-pack, a 4-pack, just on different listings?
Yeah, there was literally a 1-pack, a 2-pack, a 4-pack. They have a smaller size that sold in an 8-pack. There's a bunch of different variations of it.
I know a lot of times there are products that have multi-packs, but a lot of times if you just scan for the UPC of that item, it's only going to come up with the single variation listing of the single pack, right? In most cases, sometimes it'll pop up on others. How are you finding the variation listings for products like that? Like, let's say it's dish soap. Are you just doing manual search to find the 4-pack, the 3-pack? What are you doing in terms of that? Because that's a great opportunity for people to kind of expand their catalog and do more volume. When you find a good product, especially like a grocery or like a household type of soap or something like that, a lot of times you can pair it with just selling a multi-pack, like a 1, 2, 3, or 4-pack, or so, even pairing it with other scents or something like that. So what are you doing as far as trying to expand on the opportunity of like a winning product in that sense?
I look at it from like the add a product side and just like scroll through the listings, and then I scroll through like Amazon.com, like how you see it as a customer, and then just try to find multiple listings. But like there's been some products like I'll scan through 500, 600 listings, like I'll go deep, and then like sometimes you find something, sometimes you don't. But yeah, it's not just like looking at the first 3 pages. It's like looking through the whole catalog or like a decent amount of listings.
So you might just type in the name of the item on Amazon and start looking through the results to see, oh, that looks like a 3-pack of the product, clicking on it, and then just kind of doing your analyzation that way. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, and I know you can outsource and do a bunch of other things, and yeah.
All righty, Mike. Well, it's been about 30 minutes. I appreciate your time, obviously, hopping on here. I got one last question for you. You're kind of like an outlier because you went 3-4 months of just starting on Amazon and going full time and kind of making this your career living. So that's kind of doesn't happen for most people. So what do you think? I know you joined my program early on. You got involved in the community. How important do you think it is of kind of seeking out information to learn about what you're trying to do on Amazon? Do you think that's a necessity? Do you think that's helpful? Do you think that kind of attributed to you picking it up so fast and having as much success early on as you did?
Oh, yeah. And then I actually saw a news article the other day on the computer. It was talking about how to make money on Amazon, and it said you should drop ship on there. And I was like, see, if you don't know what you're doing, it's over before you start.
That's the problem, dude, is there's just so much bad info out there. It's like making sure you find the right info. But do you think just kind of being a part of the Amazon community, getting information off of mentors, just other sellers that you can just chat with in Discord groups, do you think that's kind of, you've learned a lot quicker than others for that fact? Or do you think that people could, if they wanted to, just kind of figure it out as they go?
I think you need some form of group or some form of leadership, but you have to figure out how to vet them. And then, because like I said, even the news has misleading information on what to do. And yeah, so you need to go somewhere where it's trusted and then trust. And to me, it's common sense, but I've read some things in the forums where I'm like, I would never do that. I don't know why. So I guess it's kind of luck and what you think is common sense and what you're willing to risk. And it's a whole bunch of factors. But yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So to end the interview, dude, what's one tip you could give to all the people watching, especially people that are new sellers? What's one tip you would give them to give them the best shot at success on Amazon?
You just have to try, and then something's gonna go wrong at some point, and it's whether you want to quit or not. I mean, I send out FBM packages sometimes and they get lost. A customer will return something that you can't resell. Like, there's just like a dozen things that can happen. There's account health problems. Like, it's easy once you know what you're doing, but there's like a bunch of little things that can, like, you could do an FBM package and put it in Walmart packaging and get in trouble. There's just like a bunch of little things that you just have to learn and like know and just think about. But I mean, once you know, it's like second nature. But yeah, you have to
Right.
know.
So it's like, just don't give up if you run into a little issue, because issues are going to happen no matter how prepared or how much information you have. Like, something's going to happen. You're going to screw up something along the way. But kind of what you're saying is, don't give up just because you run into an issue or something. You just got to figure out, you got to learn from it. Right.
Yeah. And then being safe with your money. Like, if you only have $1,000 to start selling, me personally, I wouldn't put the $1,000 worth of inventory into one box and send it into Amazon. If it gets lost, then it's lost, and you're dealing with Amazon and UPS, two giant companies that honestly don't care. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just sent in $7,500 worth of stuff to Amazon, and I didn't feel comfortable putting it in one box, so I just paid the extra shipping charges. But yeah, it's whatever you feel comfortable with. But like, literally, don't put all the inventory in one box and then just be like, oh crap, it got lost. Like,
yeah.
People be like, I saw someone say they sent in like $500 worth of Oreos, they got lost, and then they said, all right, screw Amazon. So I mean, it's just all about risk tolerance. And like, I mean, I've gotten lucky. I know a lot of like bad things happen to other people, and I've seen a bunch of things. But yeah,
I mean, and the good thing with that too is, if you have like proper documents and have like the proof of like the UPS box weight, box content information, all that stuff, you can get reimbursed. It's just kind of a pain in the butt dealing with Amazon, I'm sure, as most of you guys know. But yeah, that's definitely, that freaking sucks. But thank you so much, bro, for hopping on. I've been wanting to do this for a while. We'll have to have you on the channel again at some point. Go ahead and let everyone know, because I know you're pretty active in the Amazon community. Where can people find you on social media, Instagram, X? Where can people find you and follow you at?
I'm on Instagram, Mike Underwood 1.
Mike Underwood 1. Are you on X at all, or are you just mostly the Instagram?
No, I have a Twitter, but I don't use it. But yeah, just Instagram, I guess.
All righty, cool. Everyone, make sure you go ahead and follow Mike. He does post a lot of stuff about just selling on Amazon in general on his, and he's just a funny follow on his Instagram story. So just make sure you guys go follow him. But everyone, thank Mike down in the comments for coming on the channel. He definitely didn't have to take time out of his day, so we definitely appreciate you guys. If you're new to the channel, definitely consider subscribing and joining the family, and we will see you all on the next video.